Okay. Hi everyone, Rapthany Up Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Fred Again album, Actual Life 3. This is the latest project from UK-based electronic music producer Fred Again. Now on his third dated full-length collection of songs, this is the first time I'm covering his stuff to this extent, though I have been aware of his come up for a minute now through his interviews, DJ sets, collaborations with artists such as Heady One, as well as Romy of the XX fame. He seems to be a bit of an it boy at the moment as far as electronic music producers go, and I can see why. When it comes to house and garage, Fred's approaches to the genres comes across pretty studied and tasteful. His focus is a lot more on the meditative qualities that these genres can have if you're not constantly chasing after the thrill of the drop or the over-budget chorus, which I deeply appreciate as it makes his music equally appealing in a club setting, but also just as a headphone listen. Even his approach to features on his records is pretty subtle, choosing to title his tracks based on the first name of whoever is the source of a key vocal chopped up in the mix, followed by, I guess, a more proper title in parentheses. For example, the song on this thing, Danielle, Smile on My Face. Danielle being short for Danielle Babuena, the government name of 070 Shake, who is sampled on the track. Fred's also a pretty versatile producer as well, as the collection of tracks here covers a variety of different vibes and intensity levels, but among the variation there's not a whole lot of consistency in quality, as I found there to be some pretty surprising dips in the flow of this record. Like the track Berwin, for example, which is somehow quiet, but also so distorted it ruins the dynamics of the song, which you would want to enjoy due to it being so low-key. Plus the dejected vocal performance on the cut I found to be pretty boring. A lot of the same dynamics, distortion, and tedious pacing issues turn up on the song Nathan. I do generally like that Fred plays with things like saturation, distortion, reverb, and compression on his tracks. Surely it shows he has an interest in sound play and texture, but repeatedly on this record I find his exploration and application of these things to be kind of one-dimensional and just not all that interesting. He often ends up suffocating the subtleties of his songs rather than enhancing them, even on undeniable highlights like the song Danielle I mentioned earlier, which is handily one of the catchiest cuts here. To continue complaining, there is also the song Mustafa, which is this slowly building, twinkly interlude type cut, which is fine while it's on, but just in the grander scheme of this project seems unnecessary, especially in a track list that comes across as so assorted, because it's not like there's a grand thematic flow to all the songs on this thing. So it's kind of hard to see this very transitional cut as being essential. There are also a few moments where Fred's lack of guts leads to a lack of glory, or maybe just flavor and style. The track Clara, for example, the euphoric synthesizers and very husky vocal chops on this cut, along with the grooves, feels very Y2K mall dressing room. Delilah as well gave off the vibe of just kind of sounding like catwalk fodder. These tracks are by no means bad or weakly produced. They just come across as very dime a dozen. But there were several supreme standouts on the LP that I would like to start shouting out, like KAMMY, which is a banger! The massive jump in volume on the mix of this track is a little odd, but I can't deny that the thick rushes of bass and synthesizers and perks is really exhilarating. The grooves on the track are undeniable, and plus the muddy distortion as well as crisp atmosphere surrounding the whole mix is giving very much a dark, massive warehouse party that is going into the AM. The mesmerizing bass and kicks, atmospheric vocal hits, and trumpet-like synth leads on EYELAR show that Fred can also do a lot with a little. And then Kelly is easily one of the most entrancing moments on the LP. The cycling rhythms and loop refrains of "Take hold on me, take hold on me." Plus the way Fred is playing with the volume of the samples to kind of have them dipping in and out of frame very rapidly really adds to that hypnotic quality. Plus this is one of the few tracks on the record that comes through with a kind of big finish, as toward the end we get a small drum break, a breakdown, a build up, which introduces different synths, different instrumental palette, a new vocal cut, really a blood pumping finish for the whole thing. And yeah, I enjoyed those tracks. I I found quite a few others to be decent or at least tolerable. A couple others straight up duds, and I suppose that is the choppy experience of this album. Once again, I can see why Fred is turning heads. I can see why as a producer or as a collaborator, he is becoming increasingly sought after. His talents truly do come across on the best and brightest moments that this record has to offer, but I didn't find his ideas or productions to be so consistently novel, interesting, and on point to where he's convincing to me as an album artist, even with a few full lengths under his belt at this point. But maybe that will come with more time, ambition, and exposure. Feeling a light to decent 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Fred again, forever.